Yo, what is going on YouTube? It is your boy Titan Sama and I'm back again for another video. In this video, you guys are not going to be seeing my face. I am testing my editing skills, so let's get straight into it.
Get into it!
You guys have obviously seen the thumbnail and the title, so you know what is going on in this video. So I'm going to jump straight into it, no BS. I'm not going to be beating around the bush. I'm getting straight to the point in this video. First off, let's establish the definition for Toon Force, bruh. And I'm going to be reading this straight off Google. So right off Google, it says, Toon Force refers to the unrealistic actions of cartoon characters, such as Popeye, who seem to have control over how objects interact with the real world. Let's go to the second definition if you guys don't like how that one sounds, right? Learn about the concept of Toon Force, a unique ability that allows cartoon characters to defy all logic and physics to achieve impossible feats. Okay, so you guys understand and hear what I just said, right? You guys understood and heard what I just said. Now that we know what the definition is, let's jump straight into this, bro. And let's get a few things out the way. Let's start off with chapter 246 in Skypiea, when Luffy and Usopp's eyes were popping out. Well, Usopp's eyes were popping more out and his teeth were actually out of his mouth. That right there is a gag. Because there was no context in the situation on these people having a certain ability to be able to do what they just did. So that is a gag from the author himself, from Oda. That's a gag. Gear 5 is literally named Luffy's Peak, the ability to turn imagination into reality, right? Imagination, there's no logic in your imagination, there is no physics in your imagination. Turning that into reality kind of sounds like Toon Force to me. But I know you guys don't want to hear that. Let's get into the evidence, into the case file of Monkey D. Luffy. So I'm going to give a little bit of context. Since we already know now what Gear 5 is, let's go back and see some weird anomalies with Luffy's fruit, so-called rubber fruit, right? First of all, Gear 3. So you telling me Luffy has the ability to blow into one bone and it expands all his other bones without being connected.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, oh, okay.
That gives me a little bit of an idea that Luffy was basically doing something he thought he could do. But in the real world, that would never happen. So there's case number 1. Number 2, Snake Man, bruh. Snake Man. You telling me a rubber fruit allows your hair to grow. A rubber fruit allows you to transform in a mist of smoke. That is some mythological Norse. I don't even want to get into it, bruh. But that is not rubber right there. You can see already there's something going on here. How is there smoke wrapping around my body when my fruit is rubber? How is my hair growing when my fruit is rubber? And talking about Snake Man, let's move on to his attacks. I think it's King Cobra, where the trajectory of his punches that start like slithering through the air, that is impossible, bro. If you look at the Pika Pika no Mi, which is owned by Kizaru, one of the 3 admirals, this nigga literally moves in a straight line. As you know, light moves in a straight line unless it moves through a medium. Just a little insert, this could also speak on Kizaru's character as a whole, as he follows an unclear justice, which could also be categorized as a thorough, lazy justice, just like a line, thorough and lazy. There's not much to it until it hits a medium and it starts bending, refracting, and it becomes something that it wasn't before. Almost like a prism, and I feel like Kizaru's prism was Egghead Island, coming in contact with Luffy, his whole backstory with Vegapunk, what his mission was, seeing Sentomaru as well, being in the mix. All these factors on Egghead, we could be seeing a transformation in Kizaru's justice, in the way he sees the world, in his standing in this whole mix that's about to go down. Kizaru uses the Yata mirror to change his direction. In every instance of Kizaru moving in a super light beam, we see him move in a straight line. You telling me with the use of a rubber fruit, Luffy is able to change the direction mid-travel of a super fast attack? Another thing is not making sense right there, but it would have had to bounce off other things, ricochet off other things, not just change trajectory and keep its speed. Actually, it speeds up. It gets faster than the initial punch. Just a little insert. While editing, I saw the scan of Kaido agreeing with what I just said. So it's not just me putting up for Luffy. There are literal characters in the verse that are fighting Luffy, saying that this is not supposed to be happening with rubber, bro. How? because Luffy thought he could do it. He thinks it's possible, so he does it. Okay? Okay. Now we've cleared up some of his past controversies, if we can say it like that. Now let's get into some of the evidence of Luffy having complete and utter Toon Force, bro. So first of all, on Egghead, Luffy's scars literally came off his body. His scars came off his body and he stuck them back on, saying, phew, that was close. Broggy saw this and says, Straw Hat, you have a funky body. So Broggy saw this happen. You can't tell me that is some rubber ability to have your scars, your skin, your scarred tissue come off and you put them back on like a sticker. Toon Force. He just changed how the scars interact in the real world. Let's go back to the definition. Let me read it for you guys one more time. The unrealistic actions of a cartoon character such as Popeye, who seem to have control over how objects interact with the real world. You guys heard what I said, right? Let's go on to the next one. So he then pulls out a paint bucket and a helmet out of nowhere. But this has already been cleared up by Oda, saying that he got it from the entrance to Nika's fantasy. That to me genuinely and actually sounds like a hammer space. The entrance, he's able to do this at the entrance. Imagine if he opens the gates. Imagine if he embraces this quote unquote hammer space of Nika's fantasy. Okay, then we can go to the Kaido fight where we can see, obviously he just got gear 5, so he's getting used to his powers, and there are some cases where Luffy clearly uses Toon Force. He runs on air, setting it ablaze. Yes, we can say with all of our wind.
Oh, what about the Rokushiki techniques? Bro forgot about Geppo. Oh no.
You guys do realize that that is a technique that takes time to learn? Luffy unlocked Gear 5 and did it immediately. So you can't tell me that.
Yeah, we've already seen Skywalk in the show, so it can't be Toon Force.
My nigga, Skywalk is a learned ability. It's a learned technique. Luffy did not learn Skywalk, bro. This nigga flies in Gear 4th. Why would he need to learn how to skywalk, bro? You get what I'm saying? This nigga genuinely and actually ran on the air, setting the sky ablaze. We already saw that. He just changed how his body interacted with the air. So that right there, Toon Force. He also got severe burns. His whole body was burned to a crisp. That nigga shook off his burns. He just shook off his severe burns. You cannot tell me that is some rubber transmutation or that is just a gag or... Bro, let's go back to the introduction of Gear 5. Luffy's peak. The ability to turn imagination into reality. Can we please keep referring to that whenever Luffy does stupid and out there stuff? It doesn't have to be a gag. Well, it's not a gag. It's been explained and he's doing it. It's Toon Force. He is changing how things interact with the world. He is bringing his imagination into the world. Whatever he thinks is possible, he shall do. He fights freely. He's liberated. He's not bound by the laws of physics. He's not bound by logic. I don't know if you guys are getting this already. Like, are you guys getting this yet? And yes, we've already spoken about how eyes be popping out of people's faces and they pop back in like nothing happened. But Luffy's eyes popped out of his sockets in the fight against Kaido, and he quite literally grabbed them hoes and threw them back in his head, bro. That is something that happened in the real world of One Piece. You cannot tell me that was a gag or it is not Toon Force or some other out there things that Oda has not mentioned yet. You can't bring up things from the outside. Like I keep hearing that it's rubber transmutation. When the fuck did Oda say it's rubber transmutation? And first of all, we already know that his fruit is not a rubber fruit. The rubber fruit does not exist. And while we're on the topic of rubber, let's talk about this nigga's body. It says he has the properties of rubber. I wrote this down somewhere. Let me find it quickly for you guys. I'm gonna read this bar for bar, word for word for you off this piece of paper. Luffy is said to have a body with the properties of rubber, meaning he is not made of rubber, but rather his body's composition reacts like rubber. He has the properties of rubber. Why would they say he has the properties of rubber and not just say his body is made of rubber? Oda likes his details. Oda likes his narration in a certain way. He likes building things up to a certain point. You can't tell me he was not going to just say his body is made of rubber if it is just made of rubber. His body has the properties of rubber, which means it's not rubber, but his body's composition reacts like rubber. You get that? So back to this case of Luffy having Toon Force, bro. This was the #1 instance where people were telling me that this man has rubber transmutation transmutation. Against Rubber Lucci on Egghead, he pulls out a pair of metal functioning goggles, bro. I don't know if they were some scouting goggles or a power scouter from Dragon Ball Z, but this thing had actual technology working inside of it, bro. You could see the lens through Luffy's POV that it was targeting. That is not rubber transmutation, bro. That is quite literally Toon Force. This nigga has on your side rubber abilities, right? But he made a metal object with technology, meaning there is a source of power inside of it, which means there must be electricity. And what is a conductor? Not rubber. That bitch is an insulator. So how the fuck is the technology working if it is really rubber transmutation? You answer me that, please. Okay, yes, some more of my talking points. We're going back to Oda's 10 questions that he answered, right? He did say that Luffy got the helmet and the paint bucket. He got those out of Nika's, well, the entrance to Nika's fantasy, right? As I said earlier in the video, that sounds like a hammer space to me. That literally sounds like a hammer space. You are fetching something that wasn't there out of this mystical place that no one else can have access to, and you pull it out of nowhere. You get what I'm saying? Like, he literally quite reached behind his back, pulled over, and there was a helmet on his head, right? Am I wrong to be making the connection between the entrance to Nika's fantasy and hammer space? Am I wrong to be making that link? I think not, bro. And if you think I'm wrong, please come up with your own video and decipher everything that I just said in this video, bro. And then can we also note the themes in the anime that Oda was trying to portray with Luffy's awakening? The links between cartoons and him, the funky noises, the Tom and Jerry type noises, the Looney Tunes sounds, the antics, the running on air, the circular motion of his legs when he's running on air, the stars above his head when he's dazed, etc, etc. And with all that evidence and information, hope you guys have come to your own verdict. If you have a different opinion, make your own video and let's see it, bro. Otherwise, argue with the wall.